I can picture the happy worms being happy living from bread and perhaps coming into town as an adventure crafting specialty armor and becoming a strong ally. However, the humans are savage to defend their occupied land and ask me to kill some of the worms' population so they don't think of overrunning the village. Adventure crafting specialty armor and becoming a strong ally. However, the humans are savage to defend their occupied land and ask me to kill some of the worms' population so they don't think of overrunning the village. Trying to be safe and avoid detection, searching for the stream of water to get past the worms I was told existed. I got careless and was spotted by the worms that slid over. I was quick but not quick enough to die. I thought to myself, so close but yet so far. I was able to choose to release my soul and did. I was reborn back into my body completely fresh with new cloth garments but without my equipment or money. In Harmon, our body's innate soul magic and restores our bodies after death without us having to cast anything. We do not know how, but it does hurts feeling my level drop, and it's very painful feeling shiver down my back as the fear of death rushes through my mind. I'm given 7 days to retrieve my corpse before it disappears. I set my soul to regenerate itself into town, not to have traveled too far to drag my own corpse to a safety to grab the last items, which then releases the body from the physical world. Before I do that, I want to ask a cleric to restore my level which was left on the corpse, and he cast his magic. This place was hard to travel, even the fish wanted to eat me. I managed to find the stronghold of the alligator race known as the Asnak. These creatures were larger than a human with their skeleton system, very thin creatures. To me, there was no difference between male and female, and I later joked with the lady I went to lunch with that all Asnak look alike. They were a fascinating race with secret notes that we transcribed as a clue to find items or craft spells. The royal king and queen of the entire Asnak held an impressive economy. They had a herbalist to grow their food and provide enough for all these people. Inside the fortress lead dead into a mine cave where the Asnak would craft weapons and use them in the fight against the invaders. It took a group of 4 to be able to camp within the walls of the stronghold. It took a week of searching these lands, communicating magically with those within the game magical space barrier we call zones. It is easy to talk to people if they are in the same zone by shouting or auctioning an item. Murdering these Asnak to level and money. Next, I explored the mountains in this land and found one mountain giant fortress. I had to be careful when traveling these mountains. I kept close to the zone border, seeing very few hostile creatures. The mountain giants had a rare earring that sold for 255 gold in the banking system. This was worth 10 silver per 1 gold. If the fortress and the stronghold were controlled by another group and had no room, I would find a spot with that zone to kill the tigers and Asnaks or goblins I can kill. Pulling near the zone border to stay safe. Group pullers would provoke and run the monster back to the group. After a month of constant fighting, I leveled strong enough to move war fronts. Continuing at this pace, I was level 30 and the leveling became harder to level than others I had yet. Moving location to near an enemy outpost of dark elves to kill exotic animals. I returned to Nefla to buy my level spells and train with the Union. Being back there, I learned of Fresno dwarfs in the frozen region of Harmon. The dwarfs created an enchanted ring with a special effect to increase mana regeneration named the Fresno Ice Ring. I rushed to the perpetual winter continent of Zenthema. The sight of the Fresno dwarfs' mountain village was sheerly amazing. Ice sculptures of the Titan Snowbeard the Conqueror, who became the first king, and can be seen in the city road leading down from the goblin mines. I was interested in the military positions and the local monsters and visited the recruiting station in the village, inquiring about the Fresno Ice Ring specifics, learning I needed to serve the monarchy by completing a piece-by-piece scavenger hunt and returning each completed items to the right person. My skills of tailoring, smithing, alchemy, cooking, and jewel craft each needed to be at around 200 to 289 skills to complete the most complex item combination. I told the recruiters I would undergo this mission to create for myself my own Fresno Ice Ring. They said if I needed anything else to come back to them. I had to get stronger to be able to hunt the creatures for this list of items I needed to get for these dwarfs and learn the land. It became my favorite place. I can tell why the dwarfs love living here. They fought a giant race that had savage wolves that I had to fight to gain enough reputation with the dwarfs to be able to work with most of the dwarfs on the scavenger list. I found out there was a species of dinosaur stegos but was the slowest leveling experience. I stayed away from there because I could not kill one yet. The giants and the snow orcs held the majority of the land with their forces. The dwarfs' tactics were to drive them from the bottom of the mine where the rock creatures carry rare gems that sell for 100-400 gold. None of the dwarfs in the outpost had the level to kill them, but they carried with them enough money to pay for all the gems that somebody would sell. After months of grinding, I managed to climb to 40 and travel back to Nefla to ensure my spells, food, and inventory items. They told of a scavenger hunt involving the best magician's charm that strengthened the elemental pets by enhancing their spellcasting abilities to inflict damage multiplayer and increases the chance the enemy would not resist. The charm resembled a pyramid with an eye that moved around. It was named the Providence Eye. I had to meet the random people all over the world of Harmon, act as a carrier or slaughter a transformed human that suffered from insanity that tries killing me after handing him an undead locket. The adventure required setting up a raid of 12 to 50 players level 44 to 46 to fight creatures called bosses that are overpowered carrying enchanted items each magician at the raid is rolling for. In my spare time I was working on the Fresno ice ring by collecting silk from spiders, and Fresno ore from snow orcs, spending my gold and silver at the merchant buying recipe ingredients to craft basic items to skill up to 180 to 200. From there I had to hunt monsters and gather rare items to increase my skill slowly, and just crafting an item did not guarantee any skill point that goes up one by one. I had to use gold to purchase as many ingredients as I could buy and set up camps to hunt creatures for supplies. In the ocean there's several islands. One with a rare big red rabbit spawned in cycle of every 6.5 minutes. Usually only one medium white rabbit would spawn and roam the island alone, then disappear like the corpse back into the world, if nobody attacks, as to give a chance to spawn the big red rabbit. I set up a camp on the island and planned to stay up to 8 to 14 hours to kill the big red rabbit. I sold the lucky red rabbit for 5,000 gold. The item I had to travel with the customer because I could not give to him this item because of item magic that made it impossible to trade between us. We had to travel to the human, so the customer paid the human 347 gold and got a special pair of rabbit boots that you can touch to cast a speed buff instantly. This became my main source of income. Having a pair myself, I was rewarded with feeling of assisting others with their journey with essential boots. One day camping the big red rabbit, a dark elf was sailing in the zone and she came to visit me. She introduces herself as Drizzt and we began as best friends, and then I began to think of her as something more, and she said she was a man trapped in a woman's body. We talked telepathy to share our thoughts and adventures. I am close to completing the Fresno ice ring, needing a small raid of 18 people to summon the darkness within the village of the pure dark spirit underneath the mountain village. I needed to go to Titan Snowbeard's statue and give a homeless dwarf a letter from the king. He only looked homeless. He was a powerful cleric whose white magic held in the evil of the mountain within the statue. After reading the letter, the homeless dwarf undid the ancient white magic spell that sealed inside the hatred of the mountains for the dwarfs into an apparition of a dark shadow resembling a dark elf. The zone natural lighting turned black as he says, "I am Mobius, I am free finally of that cursed seal. I am going to destroy this zone and everything it to reclaim the darkness of the land." If you fail the fight, you have to regain the king's letter by redoing many parts of the scavenger list, and the homeless dwarf will reseal Mobius from world as to not kill every living dwarf in the mountain. I was at that point to try this battle, and I was at the point in the elemental earring where all I needed was the hardest raid to join. I was not in a strong enough alliance to reach the final fight of the Eye of Providence scavenger hunt. My alliance went and raided the Asnak hierarchy. The queen had dropped her ultra-rare Asnak queen shield. We all messaged the raid leader, and he wrote our names down and assigned us a number and rolled the dice between 23, and my number came up and I won. We were contacted by space humans to join their fight on planet Farron that had dinosaurs and primitive humans that I killed for levels. I opened up the Bubba Boom's casino and had them roll the computer dice that I was able to set the variable. Bubba Boom shouts, feeling lucky? Try your luck at the one and only Bubba Boom's casino where you can win at 750 plus double your money, 900 plus triple your money. Minimal bet, 500, maximum bet, 3,000 gold. Be the next big winner and buy the supplies you need today. When people bet, we both were gambling and I was pleading for a low number, and when he lost, I smiled saying, Bubba Booms, aw, so close, perhaps next time you will be luckier. I would keep convincing them to keep trying and I never lost the bank, so I was quite happy with the returns because I would walk away if I began losing too much. I had a big bank because of the speed boots trade consistently made me 5,000 gold when I needed more money. One day I entered Fresno to work on trade skills and all the people in the town were talking about me. I was shocked when they were all staring at me. All over Harmon World News, Bubba Boom's breaking news of the High Elf finding a corpse and messaging to the person that he would bring it back to him. Instead, the infamous Bubba Booms was traveling to fight Asnax when he witnesses a low-level plane dying to goblins a year before, today. He gained consent to drag his body to the low-level dwarf who died of goblins. Alternatively, the High Elf dragged the poor dwarf corpse to the deepest part of the zone he could and ran away laughing, saying telepathically, "Good luck finding your body." Bubba Booms hears the pleas of a poor dwarf to return his corpse for his items. Bubba Booms allegedly laughed at him and told him to blame himself for dying to such a weak opponent. There is no defense for a hard world to make a person have to panic that he has lost his starting weapons, food and water, bags, and his tunic. Wow, I talked to Dridst who asked me if it was true and I said yes. He was loyal and thought it was bad but still my friend. Alliance Leader, is it true that you hid a dwarf corpse at Dwarven Docks? Bubba Booms, yes. Alliance Leader, I am going to have to kick you from the Alliance. I had to give up everything I had been working years for to complete the Magician Charm and Fresno Ice Ring. I had no hope anymore of completing my quest. Fear nobody from a respected alliance would take me and I wander around Harmon lost. Sadness overtook me as I was alone. I felt like I was exposed as some type of cruel person instead of a jokester that was just having a fun time in a newbie zone. I didn't tell him, but plenty of people can help him find his corpse with magic. I was giving him an honest lesson not to always trust people about your corpse. After that, I was played lost on leveling but lost its drive when something strange happened. Stranger, Bubba Booms, you are in violation of the law. Bubba Booms, what? What did I do to identify yourself? Stranger, I am a game master. Bubba Boom's eyes shudder as he is lost at what he is experiencing. Bubba Booms, game? What game? I don't know any game. Game master, I work for a corporate company contract. In fear knowing that this man is paid by the company over all races. He let me know I was a slave and that my name was offensive now. It means boobs and I have come to change it. Bubba Booms, no, you're not changing my name, it's important to me. Game Master, can destroy your life stopping you from being. You don't know represent the royal race of samurai controlling your life. Game Master, your name is offensive to read, it means boobs and it is in violation of the company code. Bubba Booms, I am sorry, it is a fat blast, there is no way it means boobs. Game Master, I'll give you a few minutes to pick a new name or I will pick one for you. Bubba Booms, I'm not picking a new name. This is my name, I have never heard any complaints. Bubba Booms, please don't, I love my name, it's who I am, if you change it then I won't be me anymore. Arcani, please man don't do it, I did nothing wrong. Game Master, happy adventuring. Arcani, no. I went into darkness after this, my life completely destroyed, I had to get my revenge. I researched deeper than any other outcast magician in history the use of dark magic to control people. Together with Drizzt we successfully trick Harmon into believing the necromancers were good people, now restoring level experience if you died. The cost of this spell is pain, and you have to know the magic is there for it to work. The other necromancer was stupid compared to Drizzt. His brain was beautiful. I just wish we could have fallen in love and had a marriage where everyone there to see a high elf and dark marry and rule the world they knew. Everything must be conquered. To make the spell was a risk because it came from vision. I needed to swim and blind search for a black pearl in one of the mass bodies of water all over the world and gather the Dark World Rune, Pegasus Feather, and Fairy Skin to make the most spell in the world that will level down to 1 into a black pearl. Almost knowing exactly where to find everything in my heart, I blindly moved fast across Harmon gathering the necessary ingredients. The black pearl was found in the Viking warrior tribe's frozen waters. There was an entrance that I had almost no trouble finding. The Dark World Rune was given to Drizzt by the Dark Elf Prince himself, being promised him to rule Harmon for the rune. Pegasus flew to me when I entered his zone, bowing his head and introducing himself. I gave him a sugar cube I was told to bring in change for the feather. The fairies seemed to be warned I was coming and formed the best defense they could muster. Me and my elemental friend the water summoned destroyed guards in one final epic showdown to stop my evil plan. The fairies, under the guidance of the so-called good in the world, tried to seal me away in the fairy gem. I knew the risk of being sealed in the fairy gem meant a life of being owned by the fairies who would punish my evil forever in their eyes with the stone. Drizzt promised me he would find a way to rescue me if I were to be captured, no matter how long. Killing the guards, I made my way to the princess's chambers to take the fairy skin. I saw the high cleric fairy holding the fairy gem. I knew the moment I looked in his eye I had won. The stone was a yellow topaz on the outside and onyx inside, a marble shape small enough to fit in the hand of the fairy cleric. The cleric began trying to cast her long spell and the stone seemed to be reacting. My companion was a wind elemental destroying the army of the fairies. I managed to hurt the cleric's morale when Fairy Gem heard my name and stopped responding to the cleric, shimmering no more. Cleric, Arcani, you defend the wrong side. Fairy, I was hoping your magic would fail you and now it has. How does it feel? Cleric, no, it can't be. We can't protect the alliance now. Arcani, do you know why your magic end license ultimate fairy magic failed? Cleric, I don't know how. Arcani, well, that's too bad, gives me something to think about. So, I will give you fairies something to think about. You shall not warn the players of me. It was nothing personal, fairy, it is for a good cause. I assure you I wouldn't skin the fairy princess without a good reason. Cleric, monster. Cleric, please don't do this, you can't possibly be prepared for the consequences. Arcani, I have been prepared, fairy, for the consequences the moment your kind convinced me killing orcs was fun. The time for change is now, and now you die. Cleric, you will never stop us fairies. In an instant the fairy cleric made the fairy gem vanish before my eyes. Arcani, when you wake up the last one, I take the fairy skin to imbue it. Using the Dark World Rune I reverse summon it into the Pegasus Quill to write on the fairy skin the vision ancient symbols, Pegasus Quill to write the incantations onto the fairy skin. Then Drizzt will learn the original spells. I don't know how I can really be ready for the pain I am feeling. It took days of constantly dying, losing my level down to level 1 and all my level inside the Black Pearl. I was screaming mad as Drizzt continued despite my pleas to please stop, I need a break. There was no stopping Drizzt. I kept dying repeatedly and it got slower as I got lower. Each level lower, taking more and more time to lose my experience. Each death a feeling of each thing I killed I experienced their feeling death. When I reached one level it took a whole week to lose all experience. At the last cast of the spell, Drizzt unknowingly pulled my entire body into the Black Pearl. His best friend is gone from the world because of the evil alliances. Crying, she looked in her hand and was surprised to see the Black Pearl with yellow veins swimming within the Black Pearl itself. Drizzt looked at the morph Black Please and for the first time met up to duo against easily solvable creatures tried to spend time together. Nobody needed him, so they destroy his character without a chance of Drizzt. What now? Voice. They were willing to discard Bubba-Booms. After hearing that the Black Pearl shattered all of Harmon without even knowing, blindly accepted the Necromancer level restorations because they were all trusting Alliance members. The Necromancer had to take the level from people and put into pearls, transforming to a Soul Pearl. The Necromancer who knows the proper incantation can control the people they res, while I put a clock in the game for 3 hours for people to play and add the spell to the system.